Hey, and welcome to part 2 of the 2018 Exam Marker video diary. So here I am back this evening after day 1 of exam marking and training. Hopefully you caught part 1 of the video diary series. If not, you can go catch it on the blog at greattransformation.com.au/blog. And because this morning what I did was had a go through the section of the exam paper that I'm marking, and I needed to sort of, have a bit of a refresh and a review and get my head around things, and I wanted to do a bit of predicting of what I thought they would be looking for and do it in a way that means that your team can do that in the exam hall as well. They can start to think about, okay, this is what they're asking, this is how they've worded it, what are they going to be looking for? So I thought I'd share with you, as promised this morning, how it actually worked out and what they really are looking for. So I have the exam paper here. I have, oh my goodness, I've got like the marking guide. I've got some notes that I've jotted down on things that I want to just make sure I put across and help you with. So some harsh bits, some kinder bits than I thought they would be, and a couple of surprising bits. And actually, I suppose the surprising bits are maybe the kinder bits. So the first thing is in item 11, it says certain characteristics of the men are revealed by how they act and speak during the incident. Now, I therefore thought that a response would need to cover elements in terms of how the characters are acting, maybe it's their posture, how they're standing, what their actions are, how they move, and what they're saying. However, this is a good thing for students. It doesn't actually require that. It just requires them to do what is also required in the question, which says that Angia is, and it is the correct pronunciation for those of you who caught part 1, it's Angia, is shown as authoritative in both passages. So then it says, make clear how this characteristic of Angia is revealed in passage 1 and 2. So the only requirements are that students need to use evidence from passage 1 and passage 2, and they can get an A grade be marked at the A grade if they only have one piece of evidence from passage 1 and one piece of evidence from passage 2, obviously that are both explained correctly and expanded on and linked back to that characteristic of authoritativeness, but they don't have to cover both acts and speaks. So that was a little bit surprising and good news for students because it's maybe a little bit more lenient, if you like, and less demanding than I thought it would be. Okay, things that are a little bit more harsh, if you like, is the drop that happens when there are 2 parts to a question. So can you see that this is all one item, but there are 2 parts to it? Okay, so this is a bit of a tip and strategy to take forward into an exam. However, obviously I can't guarantee that this sort of thing would be the same in any question. This is just how this particular marking scheme has been produced, but it's still a good thing and useful thing to know, I think. So if a student only completes part 1 and they miss out part 2, whether it's for time or whatever reason, the best they can then get is a grade C. So it's a fairly big jump. So if I show you on the marking guide, okay, so this is grade A and this is the perfect sort of response for parts 1 and 2 of the mark. In sections B, the 2 options for them to get criteria for that both require both parts. Only a grade C can it have a part 1 perfect but no part 2, or a part 2 perfect but no part 1. There is no option to be able to get a higher mark than a C if both parts do not have some credit in them. So it doesn't matter how amazingly perfect one or other sections are, there's no way to get above that grade C. So I just thought that was an interesting point to note. And the last thing I think is worth noting is where it specifies certain amounts of evidence. So for example, here it says it must be taken from passage 1 and passage 2. In item 12, the 4-star item, this is the highest star item on the paper. By the way, there is another 1 or 2 4-star items, but there's no 5-star this year. It says include 2 separate examples for each of the techniques that it's asking for here. What's happened in this particular marking guide, and this is more the case for sort of an open response in terms of just an extended response, if students put in more than the required number of examples, they will have the 2 best ones marked. So that's what we call a positive marking guide. There's no knockdown for putting in something else that isn't as good or even incorrect. Again, that's quite a fairly kind thing. Sometimes on marking guides on an A grade, it also says no other information is provided that, you know, doesn't match or doesn't comply with, you know, the general reading or the required responses. It doesn't say that this year, so if someone put something else in that wasn't quite right, they're not going to be marked down or have any marks knocked off or, you know, a grade marked down. So that's, again, a positive thing, and that's why it's called positive marking guide. But if they put in, say, 3 pieces of evidence and obviously explain those, we take their best 2. Where I have seen that be the opposite in previous years on things that I've marked is if there's ever specific spaces, you know, lines like put in example 1, put in example 2, or a table to fill in. If any students try and put in more responses, answers, words, evidence pieces, whatever it might be, then they will just have their first 2 marked, or even if it's anything that's like a multiple choice format, that will instantly be marked wrong because you can't really hedge your bets in those situations. It'll instantly be marked wrong. If it's a selection of things or it's just an open-ended, you can pick whatever you want, but it's specific spaces for things and you've got more than the required number, usually they'll just look at the first, whether it's 2, 3, whatever, and the last one will be disregarded. So if you've changed your mind and you think it's a better one, don't put it at the bottom, put it at the top. So quite a few tips and thoughts there for today, for this evening. So those are all my initial sort of thoughts, ahas, wow, okay, got it type responses that I wanted to share with you. Plenty more to come through the week, so keep your eye out for all the other installments of the Exam Marker Video Diary. I normally kind of get out maybe 4, sometimes 5 videos, so we'll see how we go. It just depends how many interesting things come up along the way. So until next week, if you're watching this on the blog, have a fantastic week. I'm Katie Price, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Bye-bye.